another match today, though. It's going to be against FlyQuest. Some changes on their roster as well. Thoughts on that upcoming game?
I think we'll shit on them.
That's it.
That's great.
So, I mean, I gotta be. Welcome back to the LCS. Game 5, last game of the day, Cloud9 versus FlyQuest. But I almost feel like now there is nothing we can say ahead of this. Get in the game.
Yeah, there we go. That's
that
our pregame.
That will really matter to any degree, more than what Fudge just put out into the world. It will be, I think, a perceived very difficult game for FlyQuest.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will shit on them, to use his word, or not. But let's dive into it. We'll get a reminder here real quick of what FlyQuest's lineup is looking like in terms of what the regular season and what they're playing now. You will notice it is exactly the same. Kumo being the name that I want to call out here, as it is very clear that FlyQuest is going to choose to build around him, and we've got a number of different pieces slotting in to do just that.
Yeah, Kumo was one of the people that we wanted to highlight as the carryover from the Academy roster that was brought up in the middle of summer last split. And he has a fairly storied history in the LCS at this point. You know, he's no longer a rookie. He's more like a journeyman trying to really find his footing in the league. And this is going to be a huge test for him because the first game did not start that great, but it's just very early on in the season, but it's hard not to have an immediate reaction.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the current story about him. But it started with Cloud9, right? When he came into the league, it was trading times with Licorice and all that, and just being like known for like having those insane games. Because he can have great carry performances, and even looking at him in solo queue, like he would be just running it, trying to learn on either Yone or something like that, carry top lane. But when he was playing on Evil Geniuses, as the go-to top laner, he was playing more facilitating roles. So trying to figure out what works best for him. And then now finding his place back into the LCS, as you mentioned. So the journey has been there. It started against Cloud9, and now he's going to face against them.
You talk about the Cloud9 top lane talent machine. I would have entered this matchup thinking about the matchup between him and Fudge, were Fudge still to remain up there in the top lane. But as we know,
he ran away.
He ran from the fight.
That's the story.
Oh, wow.
He heard about Kumo being in the top lane.
He was like, get me out.
Mid lane's my calling.
So he's moved to the mid lane. We did get that one game of evidence from earlier in the day. Of course, it is that Victor-Corki matchup that we kind of talked about, not necessarily putting any mid laner in a position to truly, you know, shine and look like a major difference maker. But the one thing I do recall that we called out in the postgame, Emily, was teamfight positioning, and that he looked fairly solid in those mid to late game fights.
Yeah, his placement was pretty good. Like his AoE placement for team fights for his team was really good. And then I think he said it himself in the interview where he's like, oh yeah, I was taking a lot of first-time matchups for mid and just like doing really poorly. And I feel like I've improved significantly to the point where I thought he was very forward-thinking in terms of like, yes, you're seeing me play Victor now, and you might see me play Victor and Corki for the foreseeable future, but I am also looking to open up my pool once I have those matchup understandings. And that kind of reflects what we said about him as a whole at the very beginning of the day and why he might adapt to mid well.
Yeah, he's thoughtful, he's a quick learner. It's what made him so good as a top laner when he first came in. And now I feel like that's what's going to make him as a mid laner.
He's thoughtful. That's the first thing he threw in there, which I love about a person. It just makes me believe that like he delivered flowers to Raz or something on his birthday most recently. We'll see.
He's the type of guy that would.
We'll see how he does in his second outing out there in the mid lane. Fudge for Cloud9 as they go up against FlyQuest in our final game of the day. Back over to Freak and Jap for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash, and welcome back. Yes, game 5 of the day is coming. Cloud9 got their win in a pretty fun one. It was back and forth, sadly for FlyQuest. Also a back and forth, but a loss on their side.
Yeah, and I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about any of the teams we see in the first day of the lock-in tournament, but I am looking forward to seeing if we see any type of progression or even just more data from both of these teams. Fudge as a mid laner is a great storyline. I think also Takui, there's a lot of hype for him coming out of the FlyQuest camp. I know that one of the ways they were even recruiting players was by showing them just clips of Takui and how good he was in mid lane when he was the MVP of the LFL in spring of 2021. So it'll be fun to see that mid lane matchup. I think that's where I'm going to draw most of my focus this game.
All right, well, I want to see it happen here as well. Yeah, on paper, I should be favoring Takui, the far longer tenured mid laner. Fudge himself in his post-game interview from the first game said, yeah, I think I'm middle of the pack right now. He's like, I was bottom 3 last week, not middle of the pack. By the end of lock-in, I'll be top 3.
It's a quick growth curve.
Yeah, and he's like, but you know, he was like, yeah, I'll be actually good by like summer. Like it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll be ready by playoffs. It's like, yeah, summer-ish. Like that's about when, you know, I'm going to feel really comfortable. So yeah, we'll see what the matchups look like. Jinx by far the most played bot laner in pro play. Caitlyn tends to receive a ton of bans. She is the #1 prio champion in competitive play on this patch. We'll see if that gets left up though, because it'll be FlyQuest's final ban if it were.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn up, as you mentioned, Karma up, but I don't necessarily know if that would be a champ that gets first picked. Thresh, maybe more likely.
Yeah, globally, Karma is very low priority, under 50% presence, under champions like Thresh for overall pick and ban rate. But in the LCS, yeah, has been a really big deal so far this week. I mean, it's certainly a good auto-pushing bot lane. And Lee Sin, yeah, a highly, highly prized jungler. I think the #1 most contested jungler tends to be banned more than picked. We don't get to see him very often, but yeah, a prize to be sure.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to pick it away from Jose Dodo as well. We don't want to let him have too much comfort in a game. But we really haven't seen much variation in the draft so much in the LCS lock-in tournament so far. Jungle, AD carry, and support, the 1, 2, 3 picks in varying orders, but for actually 8 out of 8 teams so far, or 8 out of 8 games possible, since there's only 5 teams playing today.
Sure, yep. But yeah, it's happened every single time so far in every one of these games for both sides. Brand the long hover, and we will break with priority as Corki like to be locked in here. And right now, Corki, to my recollection, I can research it later and come back with a more firm stance when I'm casting tomorrow, but Corki is pretty good into magic damage matchups. He goes Hex Drinker second item, upgrades to Ma when he feels comfortable doing so, and like survives LeBlanc Burst, survives Cinder Burst, like, and then just outscales them because Corki has really, really, really good scaling. And just can play far back. AD mids tend to look better. There's no AD Hex Drinker. He's not rushing Death Stance on you. Steel Cap has only 20 armor, and I'm surprised we aren't getting to see things like Jace more often as good picks in a Corki.
And I wonder, yeah, I feel like Fudge should just play Jace mid.
Sure.
Right?
Why not?
It would be the logical thing. It's instead of blinding Jace just because the other team has Corki, it makes sense that they played in mid lane. It's obviously flexible, and we've even seen Corki top so far, but definitely pushing us for a different type of team composition here. The Ziggs can also be a very potent bot lane pick into Aphelios. I like, in general, mages against Aphelios. I feel like they're very effective, so happy to see a little bit of variance in the 5th game of the day right here.
Yep, Akshan, Jace, all like playing farther long-range poke, like Xerath, all seem like pretty strong answers in solo queue. I know Akshan, to be fair, in Challenger Elo is actually a more common top laner than mid laner, so Fudge of all players like may have already learned him, but not bringing out in this game. Again, Jace very likely to be the option. Again, of course, can be flexed. Ziggs in the bottom lane, very good when you realize we're playing AD jungle, likely AD mid, could be AD top, but still, it's still a lot of physical damage, and Ziggs is just great to say, hey, we have an auto-pushing bot lane for sure. You almost never lose priority playing Ziggs down there.
Yeah, and I'm looking at 4 or 5 bans right now. Victor being thrown out because that was what Fudge played into Corki in his first game of the day. I still think the Jace is probably going mid, but I understand the ban just from a safety perspective. Sometimes 4 or 5 bans don't actually have the most logic. It's the ban phase of the draft that you really can't plan for that well.
Yeah, of course.
Since it's so unlikely that the first 9 champions go to plan no matter how many scenarios you build. So sometimes you just get the obvious stuff out of the way and call it a day. And
Cloud9 are throwing out bans that would actually hurt them in the top lane, right? And the thing is, this could be, you can get into mind games here because if they grab Malphite, you grab Sylas, put Sylas in a Malphite, you suddenly like hard win your lane.
Yeah.
But you don't know if Malphite's coming in on 5, right? Like if FlyQuest grab a support, they make you lock in your champs, they go, oh, by the way, it's Malphite, enjoy, right? And then Corki goes top, like Viper played earlier on, and they, you know, they won with that one. It's like, well, okay, I have no way around that one. So, touche, you got me. So the Malphite cover can help make sure that Jace always has a good lane no matter where he's going. Often is a blinded top laner. Again, I think he is a good counter pick into mid. Aurelia is another very good matchup, by the way, into Corki in the mid lane, so that could totally line up there. Again, covering the AD options because there is a Ziggs bot. And we may still see a mage down there, right? Like Lux is available, for example, as another magic damage source in the bottom lane.
And I think the Thresh ban's actually a nice headshot. It blocks the Aphelios Thresh power, and it makes it more likely that the Ziggs and the Jace are going to be able to really strongly poke out the Aphelios in the mid game and make it very difficult for him to play.
That's looking at Rakan.
It'll give them good engage, but it's not going to give them a super strong laning phase.
Yeah, no, that's going to be almost certainly a weak look here. A lot of stuff works pretty well into Rakan. You can actually stun him out of his W dash, and he actually stops in place right there. So if you're fast enough, you don't have to just like Flay or Nautilus Anchor or whatever. A pure stun will actually interrupt it. So Leona with quick reflexes can make that happen. And I want to know what comes out of this one. They had Hover Rectum before. They're going to actually lock it in now as... oh, hold on. All right, where are we going?
Yeah, I don't think they would do Renekton because it would give them triple AD topside, and even though you do have Ziggs bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they decided to throw Ziggs mid for some reason, but
feels
it's
weird.
the power of flex picks. It makes things confusing.
It is, but yeah, I definitely love Ziggs bot. Generally speaking, an early game pick, by the way, right? It's a ton of lane priority. You crash plates early on. You satchel a turret from 1/3 HP, and the fact that you're going to get a couple of plates from your passive, like he just spikes so quickly on. And oh, we are going to get it after all? Yeah,
Really?
now again, Akshan is flexible. Again, in super top elo, he's actually more of a top laner than a mid laner, so we'll see which way it goes. But both Jace and Akshan are really, really good in a Corki.
So,
Finally, we have...
I want FlyQuest to do like a big tank in top lane because he can go heavy armor and be a brick. There we go.
Or
it'll work.
Yeah. Neat. All right, so the scaling, by the way, so heavily in FlyQuest's favor. Corki is a very hard scaling mid lane. Ornn is a very hard scaling top lane. Aphelios is a very hard scaling bot lane with some decent early laning because of the green red at the start. But FlyQuest are looking at a late game option. I don't know Akshan's curve, but I know Ziggs and Jace are generally a bit early game skewed, Ziggs especially so. So Cloud9 could come out swinging, and it could look great, and they could bowl over FlyQuest. But if this game goes later, FlyQuest champions are inherently better in late game situations.
Yeah, and I do want to point out it's really rare that you will see AD in both top, mid, and jungle.
Right.
You'll usually see some variance somewhere. Otherwise, the itemization does become fairly simple for the rest of the team. As you mentioned, though, Corki doesn't have the best AD itemization. He loves Sork Shoes. There's not a good AD item for him to build super early. Even though I still think Takui should build a cloth early, it can eventually turn into Death Dance or GA, and it'll still be very effective. The Ziggs' solo AP is okay, but it's just going to be so long until the Ziggs can impact the rest of the map. Ziggs bot very different than Ziggs mid in that sense because it's so hard for him to reach up to the rest of the map.
Looking for turrets, though. Looking to knock stuff down and earn early gold. We'll see what the Herald setup looks like as well. And we are on to the map. Darshan gets to play Akshan, and Fudge indeed is on Jace in mid. I'm excited about this one. We got first strike on a couple of different champions down here as well. And we get to watch ourselves a very fun game of League of Legends.
We really do. We get to see the variety come in the 5th game of the day. First Auction, first Ziggs bottom. Sven also, I don't think necessarily gets enough credit for his skill on mages, but I remember even back in 2020, he was really good Cassiopeia. He could play the Syndra stuff. Like, he really can commit to playing mages. The one thing I notice, and we'll see if we can track this at all in this fight, is like, I almost feel like AD carries can be very good at mages in lane, but then they actually play team fights differently than you would think a mid laner would play them.
Oh, right.
Right? Like they're just getting their damage off, rather than necessarily timing the spells the way that a mid laner would.
Sure.
But that's maybe overanalyzing it, and we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to like think about what that turns into, because some champions really do fill the same role. Like, I think Victor in a lot of cases does a lot of the same things as like a Vayne or an Aphelios would do. It's like, I'm just going to kind of belt out my damage. I'm going to hit frontline, and you know, my cooldowns are short, so we're just going to keep going. Whereas like a Syndra really is a target selection champion. Like, you get one ult, and that ult is super duper important. The stun is a really big deal. And if you're not pressing E or R, you're not doing much than teamfight anyway. So yeah, I agree with that point. We get a red buff steal for Blabber.
Yeah.
True to form, going to go ahead and smite the first camp. Joho Diodo, I believe, got no leash on his first jungle. Smites the first camp. By the way, every jungler, if you don't get a leash, smite your first camp. It is always correct. Trust me on this one.
Yep.
And now going to go ahead and finish Gromp and keep to a pretty similar situation. Wards will spot Lee Sin. There is a trinket that he walked past, so they actually know that Blabber poached 1.5 camps. Tukui's already ready for that one, knew where he was, sidestepped the Sonic Wave. But now the question is, does Blabber even lose his bottom jungle? Right now, FlyQuest bot lane is pushing, so they could cover Jose Diodo going Wolves to bottom side, but he's not going down yet.
And Corki has push, no trinket, but he can still scalp the Raptors. it would definitely be a play that, okay, he actually used his trinket on the Raptors, so they know that Blabber is there. Let's go for it. He's going to be level 3 before Blabber as well, and they can just trade reds.
Okay, so it is, yes, red buff stolen and his own Raptors, and Raptors stolen. And now Jose Diodo, I mean, let's be clear about this one, right? Stealing red buff is better than stealing Raptors. If he gets Krugs, it's even more above that.
I actually wish that Aphelios Rakan hadn't gone that far into red, because they're going to lose lane pressure now. If I think about like the most efficient thing that Jose Diodo could do, it would be to take red, Gromp, have a wave stacking, and then dive, because they know Lee Sin needs to maintain efficiency and won't be there to cover. But he's just going to gank.
Trying now, decent damage. Isles tanks up, marks the champion. Flash for the stun, guarantees it. On the bottom side, walks up, and as the wave crashes and bounces back, FlyQuest have the setup. They have first blood.
The nice thing, though, about mages is you can just teleport back, so they've lost the gold to Viego, but he's not going to lose that much CS. And I still overall like the play. It's a good response by FlyQuest to punish that early invade.
Alrighty. Oh, Jose Diodo, he's got very little left to do, of course, right? I believe he was able to take Krugs away. So again, stealing Krugs is better than stealing Raptors, so actually gets more of the cans. But hold on, we watched that fight again, and yeah, it was just a good setup. Nowhere for Sven to really go.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell if the wave was going to push away from C9 if they left it, because they really should have been thinking danger, danger, knowing that there was a Viego at the red buff and could be coming bottom at any second.
Yeah, in the day, though, it's 26-26 CS, and with assists split the way they are, it was at most 100 gold apiece, so not a huge swing based on how that kill went. Yes, you're going to feel good for Jose Diodo, but as he's getting his second Krugs now, has yet to reset, has yet to buy. His Gromp's just now coming up. If he wants to keep on tempo, he can't interact with top, must instant recall, must go buy a Sheen, get back down there and cycle his camps, and, you know, his position is going to be pretty well known.
I wonder... I kind of want to check sub-runes. I wonder if everyone in FlyQuest topside just went armor, because that Shock Blast looked like it did nothing to Corki.
Yeah.
Even though it is early game Jace.
It's like definitely steel caps
He's got 45 armor already.
Yeah, without itemization. So that, I mean, that's, so about 30 is where a lot of champions sit at level 1.
Yeah.
And okay, he's leveled a few times, and 3 armor per level is pretty standard. So like about 40, about 37 is where you'd be on base stats, like on average.
Yeah.
So
once it's 75.
Yeah. And there's a Bramble Vest, and now he's invincible.
It's gonna happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely double steel caps, right? For top jungle, like there's no way you don't do this. So Yoda wants to steal away some of the camp. The Lee Sin Q lands. The supports are fighting. That's a pretty good hook. This is almost too much for Aframu, but he knows there's not enough threat onto him. Ignite's not going to kill, so out he walks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the interactions and just how long it takes to kill Ornn at any stage of this game, because I'm thinking it's going to be a really long time. While we have a little bit of a lull, I do want to talk about Cloud9 in lock-in a little bit more. They had definitely the most exciting offseason, I think, of almost any LCS team, right? Signing LS, bringing in so many, like a lot of people are calling them Korea 9, right? They bring in Summit, they do this role swap. True to their form, they actually have a whole team in Korea scrimming right now. So LS, what we heard from Fudge, is actually playing mid lane for them in scrims.
Yeah.
Then they'll have... Yeah, Summit, Berserker, Winsome, and Malice as the jungler to kind of lock out the rest of the team. And they share information, but like by no means is that the prescribed end state for them. This is their lock-in team, and they have Max Waldo being basically the NA head coach.
Right.
He'll be the assistant coach for the LCS team. But just interesting how they've split themselves up into 2 teams for the lock-in tournament.
It's 2 halves of the Academy team and 2 halves, you know, of the LCS team. Yeah, Malice is the intended Academy jungler. Obviously over here is Sven and Darshan, intended Academy players, same as Isles. And so, yeah, it's that mix going on, and then we'll see when they finally do collide. From what Fudge was saying, it sounded like there wasn't a lot of cross-pollination yet.
Yeah.
So you know, we're not even on Team LS yet, really. It's, you know, it's kind of the halfway point. So, you know, if the waves are frozen, if they got the good macro, if they're sitting in champion select, they haven't gone to church yet, all right? It's not LS's fault. Any of the bad drafts, not on him. You can blame Max Turbo.
Blame everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing with Triple AD?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you Triple AD topside? Ornn is going to stack armor. Is it a sin? Is it fine? Who knows? We're going to find out later. LS will.
We will.
I'm sure he's going to VOD review these games, right? Like, I'm looking for that content.
I mean, I just know that it's all about the results. So if it wins, it was dumb. Or sorry.
Oh, no, I agree.
If it wins, it was fine.
Absolutely.
If it loses, it was just uncalled for, and I don't think you should do it.
We'll see which way it goes. I'm just a fan. Like, I've gotten, like, I don't want to say this. Anyway, I like LS. I think he's a really cool guy. I think he puts out a lot of content. I know he cares a lot about the game. And I want to see what happens when the full roster comes together, when he's coaching the team full stop. Like, I am excited for Cloud9. Yeah. And look, it might be poor, but it might be amazing. I just want to see it. And again, I do actually really like LS. I know I've been somewhat pessimistic on Cloud9 because I think it can be tough to play a mixed language team. Yeah. Like, I have the same opinion of TSM where, like, it's going to look tough when spring starts. They're in the same boat here. But it'll be fun regardless.
Absolutely. It's going to be incredibly exciting to watch. I can't wait. Even this roster, I am still excited to see how it comes together because it has different levels of progression coming through. But back to this game specifically, things are looking pretty good for FlyQuest. So yes, they did lose the Drake, but now they have an early support move. You can see on reset, Afremu came straight out the bottom side. They can get Rift Herald. Yep. And we'll see where they end up crashing the gold, as long as they don't lose too many plates bot lane and give a turret over to Ziggs, because the satchel charge is almost like a mini Rift Herald if you give up too many early plates.
Right, so here we've crossed 8 minutes, which means the Herald play began, and lo and behold, right, Sven gets the auto push on bot lane. He gets to deny a mid-wave on a turret because Johnson, his support roam to guarantee the objective. Sven is almost bound to get 2 turret plates here. And I'm glad we're measuring at 8 minutes instead, because otherwise you're going to be like, oh wow, Johnson was a really bad laner. Like, he's literally up CS right now. And he's going to be down 300 gold to the turret plates, you know, if you're going to measure only at 10. Cloud9 going to go ahead and fight for the crab, and Blabber gets it, but is it going to be enough? The combo comes in, looking to dunk Afremu. Ignite is on, won't just die, but Fudge lands the shock blast, and Tukui's going to fall as well. And just like that, Cloud9 find a 2 for nothing.
Really nice location of the map for Cloud9 to fight. Whenever they can mix their damage types, it's going to be a higher chance of winning, but mostly it was about the positioning on that fight. It also looked to me like Tukui wasn't able to get a good package off, which is critical when you're trying to posture for a fight down there, and it's going to bring the gold completely in Cloud9's favor.
And it looked like, if I recall correctly, actually, I think Rakan was available in that fight, of course. Yeah, he had to, flash away and he was ignited. So they did have members down there. It just wasn't enough. Cloud9 fought the fight better. Darshan gets to auto wave clear. Is doing Q-Max on Akshan. That is certainly a possibility. It's the wave clear build. Watch that fight again. Okay, so Afro just gets canceled and bursted. And then while the package does land, the fight is basically over because Johnson was stuck under the turret. Yeah. In retrospect, that's just a crab that you don't want FlyQuest contesting. They'd given up bot prio in order to get the Rift Herald, and then they tried to retake bot scuttle without getting any lane prio. So the fact that Cloud9 punished it was just the correct play. Good job on Cloud9 show up for that one. Good job on Blabber to get the smite. And then yes, indeed, right? One bot laner was there, the other was not. Sven was in that fight. Johnson had no hope of doing so. So yes, the misplays happened. Blabber's going back down to his bottom jungle, keeping the farm pretty close. But now Jose Diodo up on the top side. Darshan low on mana. Could be an easy target. Flashed away from one. Dodged the second stun, but with the ulti, there's no way you live, right? It's always going to be the dunk. It's going to be the kill. It's going to be the pickup, and Kumo is on the board in top lane.
Nice little kill. Quick recall with Rift Herald to get back on the map. He's got still a good amount of time to be able to get plates, and gets that Ornn a little bit stronger to being closer to being unkillable.
This is what you want to see in a tank versus ranged matchup. You just kind of take the L, you lose your early gold. Yes, you're down a plate. Yes, you're down a little bit of farm, but that guy is always gankable, and Darshan was, and there's the 2 turret plates. This is kind of the payoff. The first one was a little while back. This one right now, then going to be okay, but a hook into a decent amount of combo. Go ahead and satchels to safety. Doesn't go for the aggressive satchel play. I think he could have maybe gone to try to knock Afremu back in and look for that one a little bit longer, but take the disengage, take the damage, and another reset out of FlyQuest support.
Yeah, Blabber, I think, is in a really good spot right now with how much pressure C9 is able to apply and how FlyQuest is really going to want to bail out that lane. So any fight Cloud9 takes down here is probably favorable based on the position of the waves.
Demolish. Darshan's getting more and more done here. Again, knows he has the push pressure. Doesn't really need any like flat armor MR from conditioning, for example. Not necessarily anyway. And hey, he's earned 2 turret plates from hard shoving top lane, getting his gold back, even though there was a kill. He earned it back and more from turret plates. So guess what? He is still ahead in the top lane. Waiting for Jose to make his big play. Knocked back on a Johnson. That's going to be a good slope, good damage. He's going to have to flash. Oh, the Q lands. You are dead. Well played to the jungle bot duo. Isle's going to fall. You have to believe it. Yes, Tukui gets the kill credit. Anchor forward. Jose would like a little bit more. Not going to find it. Mid lane turret down to the last 2,000 health. Going to be big damage here. But on the bottom side, that turret plate's going to lose its 3rd plate. At 1,500, you can one-shot it almost all the way there. Just gonna be just enough on the plate, and there it is. Boom. Turret falls. And that is Ziggs on a gigantic early gold lead.
Yeah, and this is a really precarious spot in the game for FlyQuest right now because they're chipping away at enough turrets that Ziggs could really clean up shortly as long as they're moving people around the map. in the right way here. So yes, there is a Dragon up, but I don't necessarily know if C9 should care. You almost want them to try and go around and get these standing plates while Ziggs still can. Any good poke here on Kumo to push him off that turret, and Ziggs could clean another one, but let's see how Cloud9 decide to play it, because they are from a good gold lead right now.
They move towards Shield Bow for Darshan up in the top lane, as could, of course, go for tank busting and Kraken Slayer and really go for that gameplay, but taking the safe route of not getting one shot by Corky Poke or any other hard engage.
Yeah. Sustaining
in the lane, defensible option. Worth noting that we are on 12.1. There was the nerf to Shield Bows, not only raw AD, but the shield value, and still going for the nerf option as the defensive route, which is totally, again, defensible. And we are on Chem Rift, which we'll talk about in a little bit here as Darshan makes the escape. That wall is so big, you're always out of those ganks.
Yeah, wow. Looking back, Cloud9 just had so much tempo for that play. They were able to take that Drake completely uncontested. Darshan crashed a wave and was still able to back up before FlyQuest could really make any play on the map. And yeah, they've moved that Ziggs up into the top lane first, instead of traditionally moving their bot laner to mid lane, I think because that top lane turret is so low.
Yep, mid lane turret still has 4 plates, top lane turret barely has more than 2, and so they couldn't knock down the last of the plates, unfortunately, but 1 wave that they can push in. 3 autos from Ziggs, that's the entire turret falling. That's going to be another 500 gold in the pockets as we move forward, and FlyQuest look to take over some of this western jungle right now. Waiting as we see what happens. Package gets burned for not a whole lot. It looks like that was grabbed well after Dragon had been claimed. It is a 4-minute cooldown for Package. I believe he will have it again in time to play for a Dragon number 3, but doesn't get anything out of this one but some wave clear.
Yeah, you can see where the Chem Fog is right now and where FlyQuest was trying to ward it. It makes the game very scary to play, especially as the losing side. But Freak, I know you wanted to talk on the Chem Fog Rift.
So I think the idea of, is a Chem Rift winning or losing focus or bias is actually unsolved. I know, like, we've seen content, Casual made a piece in preseason about how it's really hard to get defensive boards up to defend your jungles, and things like that, but there's other points that, okay, hold on, we gotta fight. All right, we're gonna have Darshan try to get over to the blast plant, actually sidesteps the knockup with it, but now the rest of the combo is going to land. He's not gonna be able to flash dodge anything, and the superhero movie star is gonna fall, and it's Viego who takes control of the kingdom.
Yeah, all right, well, they got him. They cleared the turret in top lane, so Ziggs will move mid lane next. And Chem Fog.
Chem Fog, okay. So, things that also happen. Did you know the Chemtech Dragon buff, as well as while you're in the Chem Fog, gives you more damage against champions with more current health than you? Losing teams tend to have less health than the other teammates, which means the Dragons themselves are less likely to help Cloud9 and more likely to help FlyQuest. The Chem Fog itself is less likely to help Cloud9 and more likely to help FlyQuest. So slightly losing team favored there. The Chem Soul does nothing until you die, right? A LeBlanc with an Infernal Soul actually one-shots Jinx. A LeBlanc with a Chem Soul literally doesn't have a Dragon Soul unless she's actually caught out and dies, which winning teams tend to get caught out and die less. Now, yes, if the fight is close, it's really good, but that means that Chem Soul is good in a close game, right? Not, bad for losing team, good in a close game, right? So I'm not saying that definitively it must be losing team favored, but I think there's a lot of arguments for it not being winning team favored, and we should wait for more evidence and results from games.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are, I can definitely understand the intent behind a lot of these souls, even the Hex Gates, right? Like, if we were trying to theory craft this earlier, the Hex Gates seem like something that would greatly favor a winning team because it allows you to traverse so much territory quickly.
Right.
But also, they do allow a unique flank route for the losing team. So there are certain elements of Drakes that counteract the inherent snowballiness of it. And I think what you're pointing out with the Chem Drake is that the fact that you do more damage to people with more health than you is actually inherently losing favored, even if the other things are inherently winning favored.
Yeah, or it might be. And you know, I really will defend, there's a chance that the fact that this fog exists literally is beneficial. You cannot deep ward the enemy jungle. Deep wards do literally nothing in here because there's camouflage through it anyway. You have to ward well beyond that, far deeper into territory. That is a true factor. Now, you also can't control your own fog, which is the other way. But there are counterbalances here.
Yeah, and I think the things that we have seen so far, especially from the LPL, because they've had the largest volume of games, you have to just buy so many more control wards, and you have to place them near the entrances.
Yeah.
And yes, they're going to get cleared quickly, but you just have to accept that cost, because otherwise you are completely blind. And then secondarily, you just have to be very willing to flip it.
Yeah.
You just have to, even if you're losing, if you need to go through a space, go in together and just be ready to brawl.
Yep.
Right? Don't get surprised if they are there, and try and be ready as much as possible. And that's what I think has been the mindset of the LPL teams that have had some success with Chemdrake. But yeah, I think it's a very, very difficult thing to navigate,
Yes.
especially in solo queue games. That's when it
absolutely.
becomes a really tough one, at least in my experience.
Yeah, it's really coordination testing, because you don't get the vision anymore. So it's all about actually tracking movements. When did we last see Corki on a wave? Where did Akshan go? Like, where's Ornn? Is he ready for this one? Or the jungler walks up and it's like, oh, that's Leona in range, and I'm stunned. Right, and that can be tough to deal with, though. TP is coming in. Pack is available. Will the team fight happen in time? Ornn comes across. Will it be a Dragon Burn? Stun onto 4. In comes Rakan for the charm as well. For the rest of the team, is enough damage, though, for Cloud9. Whoever does so far, the burn down. 2 kills, make it a 3rd. There is no way FlyQuest to fight this one. In goes Darshan, but he's going to fall there as well. But 3 for 1 is a good team fight. Jungler still alive. Blabber is there. Johnson, Q is going to land, and Blabber takes him down.
Good kiting there by Cloud9 to just move back away from where the Corki could be. The timing for FlyQuest was just a little bit off, right? The Ornn actually hit 3. The Rakan engage was huge. And then I was just staring at my screen and waiting for Corki.
Yeah.
And then when none of them are CC'd, here comes Corki.
Yeah.
And they're able to blow him up. So understood the concept of FlyQuest trying to get in there, but they just couldn't quite all be in the same place at the same time, and Cloud9 comes out on top. We'll watch it one more time. Cloud9 did start the Drake, but as the engage happens, they all move together. And yeah, Takuya is just too late with this package. Doesn't even reach Sven, which is really unfortunate, and just gets blown up.
I really dislike that he ran towards blue buff. Jose was already in front of him. He had a safe path walking in a straight line forward. He had vision, I believe, on all 5, and could have been there for the instant follow-up. I do not like the path Takui took. Unfortunate there, and I think if he pathed it differently, maybe the burst comes through while they're locked down. You know, you're guaranteed the first second or so of package. Yes, still got some good damage, but I think that number could have been 2,000 higher if he was in that fight sooner. While they're stunned, while Rakan got a 4-man charm, while Ornn got the 4-man knockup, that could have been so much more damage dealt.
Yeah, and it's putting a likely timer on the rest of this game for FlyQuest. We got that next Chemdrake coming up in 4 minutes, and even though the immediate impact of having the Chemdrake doesn't make you any more powerful, another type of big fight around an Elder Drake or a Baron buff, if everyone gets that revive from the Drake, is going to be really difficult for FlyQuest to win. So going to be really interesting to see if FlyQuest can get a couple of picks. I think they need a few kills in the next 3.5 minutes to have enough team fight power to have a chance at that 4th Drake.
It's going to be a tough road.
Yeah.
4,500 down, and they got to try to make that one happen. The Ward gets spotted, Ward gets killed, and they get that little bit of vision if they ever exit the Chem Fog up there, as now Baron's being set up. A minor point on Baron is you pretty much can't deep ward the enemy jungler if you're going for a Baron setup. They're in Chem Fog. It's a control ward or nothing. They get to sit there, and you've got to zone it out with your body, or they could, you know, jump the wall, and you've got to react to that one when it happens. Or, again, you take aggressive enough control that they can't even get in there, and then it looks good.
Yeah, and it's not like FlyQuest can just create picks. Like, you can't create something out of nothing, especially if Cloud9 is playing safe.
He gets Isles to half, and that's pretty good, but, you know, Zen was there to respawn in time. They trade health bars pretty close to equally, and Isles gets his safe reset, whatever. He's got to lock it. He's got to get his new Sightstone wards anyway. Looks like he's going towards Merc Treads. There's plenty of CC on this team. It's 3 magic damage if you count Rakan as a damage threat. But, you know, a reasonable split. Merc Treads, though, pretty reasonable here. Buys the item. And Darshan again up on the side. Not quite out of the knockup. Pretty good damage here out of Kumo. And is it going to be enough with the ulti? And he goes farther to the right. And that was not the guess that Kumo made.
Yeah, tough attempt there, but timing-wise, that ult's going to be up totally whenever he wants it. Like, it's a short enough cooldown, and we're 2 minutes away from the Drake.
Yeah.
Nothing really lost by going for that kill.
So we wait again. 2 minutes till Dragon Soul. It's going to feel good. Cloud9 certainly know they've got that time waiting for them. They can play it pretty slowly. It's, you know, not going to be a problem if they do. That seems totally reasonable. But you also know that, yes, the Baron setup is valuable. The question is, and I do mean this sort of, you know, very sincerely and not about just like, is it better or is it worse? Like, how will they do ward setup for the Baron? Right? Because your blue team, you're up against Baron. You know that all your deep wards are into Chem Fog, so how do you control that part of the map? Right now, they've not much been able to. but I want to see if they can make that one a guarantee down the line.
Yeah, I think the best chance they're going to have, and this is really risky 22 minutes into the game, is to try and get position through bot lane instead of through mid lane. There was definitely a time where mid control was absolutely kind of like the only way teams would try and get Drake, and that's why, you know, all those NA RAM jokes came out. But a lot of regions were doing it. If the other team doesn't have a super fast Baron, which I don't think Cloud9 has because of the Ziggs, and because Kumo is so stacked with armor, I think he actually has a chance of winning that 1v1. They can get a little bit of control of the blue buff jungle, get pushed to the bottom side, and then at least have somewhat of a straight up 5v5 against Cloud9, because I think trying to go mid against a Ziggs Jace is never going to work. And I just think that's the only way FlyQuest can have a chance at this Chemtrail.
40 seconds to go. They got to try, right? You got to see if the orange push can happen. Right now he's sitting in there and getting poked out down to 1k health. Ulti will not kill him. 30 seconds to go means he has just enough time to recall the TP to a minion, then fight, but it's going to be a tight timer.
Yeah, so they're not going through bot lane. They're not trying to go through bot lane. They had Kumo there because they were hoping to have some type of front mid. Corki wasn't there. They are a little bit out of sync. It's also not exactly like a positive-sum game. Like, I don't know if any of these plays would work if they go bot. Maybe Baron gets threatened too hard and they can't do it anyway. But yeah, they have no position for this upcoming Drake, and Cloud9 is in a good spot.
Here we go. All of them in the river. Dershan just sitting there happily stealth. As you can see that first deep control ward. Indeed spots Jose Diego on his way down, or Ornn on the way down. And okay, you gotta back up, and he's getting burned down so rapidly. Enough control was there. Zoned out the enemy squad, and that is Chem's soul earned early. Sub 24 minute, and now all of Cloud9 can revive. Maybe we will finally see a Scion Spartan, a revive here in this one, a zombie mode as we're gonna find that first kill, but we're gonna have the revenge as now they're both
Two Nautilus
as kited away, gonna stay alive. I think it's gonna land, and it is gonna force the ulti away. I like that one. They're both throwing Qs, they're getting hooked back and forth. That was kind of fun to see.
WTF, man, 2 Nautilus.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lie, I don't know, but it was cool. Pretty truthful on that one, as yes, indeed. You revive when slain. Isles had already gotten his cooldowns out and didn't get much more for it. So I think regardless of soul, would have been killed in that spot and not gotten a trade back. So that one was a little ambivalent. And we wait for the revives, and now we wait for the only play that can be made, which is a look for Baron.
Yeah, Cloud9 is in a good spot. They have good wave control. They can continue to poke, and okay.
Okay, double auto. Double auto, taking a lot of damage here. When's the E gonna come through? Kites it out pretty well. Woo! Safety! And that shot's gonna kill him, and you just walk away from the zombie.
Run!
Oh, the flash Q! Oh, it was not quite enough. Able to get away. Wow, that was close. Nearly does get the trade kill. Woo!
37 health.
And the Zigzult will miss as well.
Easy.
Well played, Tukui takes the fight. Yes, indeed, wins the 1v1. Sadly, 1 and 4 for the auction.
Yeah, he's going to get a turret and I believe an objective bounty for this as well. So,
yep.
That's some fat gold over to Corki. And I've seen a few late game Corkis do some pretty absurd things. So if there's a window for FlyQuest to come back in this game, it is through Tukui's Corki.
So you see the warding patterns, right? You get the regular wards are just outside the fog to watch the path in, and then you control wards on kind of your side of the fog, what you can actually control, so that you can like take the back half for yourself and kind of cut off some of the rotation paths. It's kind of what I expected to see, but my first time casting a Chem Soul, so kind of want to point out what the paint by numbers approach seems to be, and this is what I kind of expected so far.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance we see it evolve, or it'll get changed at some point as well. Like, there's going to be variations throughout the season. The biggest change so far is just the movement of the blast plants to have some shots from outside the chem fog where you can shoot them in to maybe get a little bit of scouting. And also you will be able to still move into a range where you can blue trinket just to see where the objective is. That's going to be completely unchanged with the chem fog and scouting Baron.
Yep. Yeah, there's basically an aggressive and a defensive Scry's move available. There's one in front of the base gate, one by the side lane tier 2 turret, and as we just saw a second ago, one kind of at your entrance right in front of Baron, and you know, the similar thing for the other side of the map. So you can kind of look forward from your perspective. You can see there's the one in front of the base gate. So both teams have like, okay, it's time to go. Scryer's Bloom, take control, what can we get? Okay, and then you know, you have that kind of ebb and flow based on those plant cooldowns. There are ways in the fog, even if you have lost control, as we now have those wards again come down over the wall right there, dueling wards, spots the exit of the chem fog and all that. And now Tukui, with his Ravenous Hydra done, now has splash on his spells. Even better wave, even more fun stuff going on. Jose Diodo, yeah, has to probably get away from this one. Fudge, pretty decently powerful. Serylda's Grudge is in. Steel Caps expected in there as well. And we get some wave clear.
For those of you who've been listening the whole time, during draft, we were talking a lot about the triple AD topside from Cloud9. That is much less relevant now. At this stage in the game where the lane assignments are far more spread out. So, for instance, like when you have so much AD, almost no one's going to want to itemize for magic resist. So that's another reason Sven is just rushing all the pen items. Yeah. Right? Void Staff, Stork Shoes, Shadow Flame. He's got all the stuff to try and one-shot the squishies who don't have any magic resist. The only thing is going to be the Ornn. Like, Ziggs isn't going to be targeting the Ornn. But it won't matter if they can just push Johnson and Chakui out of the fight with Poke.
Right, yeah, I mean, the nice thing about Ziggs is it's so long range. If you find the backline access, he's just dunking over the top anyway, right? Oh, did Jace land a shock blast for a slow? He's at half HP. All right, bombs away. And all right, 2% HP, maybe dead. Cool, job done. You know, don't need to auto attack, don't need to go through the front line. I mean, in general, Cloud9 are not really going to be much of a frontline focused team. I mean, you're never going to out DPS Aphelios Ornn, right? Like, playing on those terms just doesn't work for you anyway. Yeah, a fan of just going for the backline access, going for the one-shot. I honestly would have probably liked to see, instead of the Void Staff pickup, just go for either the full Seraphs or going for the push towards Horizon Focus or Death Cap, and actually going more towards the backline access, because you've got 38 flat pen anyway from Shadow Flame and Stork Shoes on like any of your meaningful targets. You're already doing 2 damage to Johnson. Yeah.
And also, what looked like the Soul Laners for FlyQuest going armor runes as well, so... doing pretty close to true damage. But, okay, a minute left for Drake. Baron will fall a little bit faster as well. Let's see if they can get any type of position.
Shark's a pretty good spot. Knock up there. This could be the dunks. Sven forced to flash and just barely is able to satchel to safety. The flash follow. Too much from Jose Dioto. Gonna drop right away. Oh, that is a heartbreaker because you kind of need Smite to play for the Elder Dragon.
You kind of knew when you have the 2-second delay before flashing over the wall. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to chase into the fog. Nope. It's not going to work.
Yep. You're locked at 900 vision range. He probably did still see Sven, but he was out of range of getting anything done anyway. And, well, he'll get back on the map as the dragon spawns. Maybe this team can delay. Ornn ult will not be up in time, I believe, so it's just Corki Poke. Going to be tough to deal with that one. Rakan's not going to frontline for very long, so this may just be an Elder Dragon cleanup, and the setup is here. So once again, Corki is able to join in, has package TPs, and TP somewhere where he can get hit with a Shock Blast. Ravenous Hydra will Omni-Vamp if he can get access to a target here. Dragon spawns in 4 seconds, and Jose Dioto is on his way out. How much time can they buy? Because for the most part, Cloud9 have vision control. That is a good ward right there in the river. Isle's going to hit frontline. Kumo safe for now. Corki Poke begins. When does package come in? When do we get Viego in range? 5k health. There's the Aphelios ult. Rocket's coming in for the backline. When do we dive? When do we get kills? Not just yet. Ziggledy not going to hit too much either. Going in for a big shot, but not going to find the kills yet. Ornn is up in about 4 seconds. That's when you pull the trigger. Kumo nearly dead. Going to go for the max range ult, you have to believe, or maybe TP play. Yeah. Takes the recall. Minions kill a turret. That does not give you the bounty. If a champion doesn't kill it, you don't get that bonus gold despite the gold outline. So nothing extra gained there. And here comes the play, diving the front line, try to find the kill. Not going to happen. And it's going to be Darshan getting right back out again. Shock Blast lands. Horn is going to whiff. Not going to find the smite either in the front line. Jose Dioto going to get hooked in. Ultimate not going to find too much. Oh, it's 3 kills already. Maybe we spoke too soon. FlyQuest trying to make it happen. Finally, Kumo will drop as the zombies go in for a bit of revenge. And it's going to be just a few left alive on both sides. Dragon will be claimed by the scraps of Cloud9.
There were a lot of zombies in that fight, I'm going to be honest. I lost track of a little bit about who was who, but these fights are close.
Yeah.
And the coordination from Fly is just a little off.
Yeah.
Right? Like that package backwards as Aphromu's Rakan goes in was just a little bit tragic, because I think that's another one that FlyQuest might have been able to take, but getting through all those Chem Souls, getting enough kills for that Elder, the game is still not over.
Yeah.
For FlyQuest, even though they've had so many fights come up just short.
There was one thing you mentioned in Champ Select, the scaling advantage definitely sides with FlyQuest, but with how much Cloud9 have claimed, and I'm glad they went for a dragon stacking strategy, right? They got the soul pretty early on, and of course now they're going to rush Baron. They respawn just that little bit faster, and that means, yes, Baron is theirs, control ward over the wall, there is no jungler in range, thank you very much, Smite, and it's going to be Darshan doing all the hard work to last hit the Baron, and it's time for the Red Bull Baron power play, looking good for Cloud9 yet again.
Yeah, they got about 1.5 minutes where they can double this up. Let's see how much progress they can make on this push. If there's no flank angle for FlyQuest, it's going to be pretty happy times for Cloud9. They want to break in and hib on this push while they have Elder. They got to get Nautilus and Lee Sin up there, though, so it'll probably have to be the next wave.
Self-time. Action. Not going to find anyone to kill just yet, but knows there's no flank play. Knows the blue trinket is there. The siege is slow but effective here in the mid lane. Zig's poke going to look pretty good. Elder Dragon is a lot of burn. Leander's a lot of burn. Goodbye to the turret. This is going to be an inhibitor. That's a lot from Blabber, but knows he doesn't want to go for a flash kick on Kumo. He just presses W and you get nothing for it, so not going to be a play here. Mid lane is gone, and they're going to go for the Nexus, not for side lanes, but to end the game now. Is it going to be enough?
Yeah, they still have 30 seconds on Elder, so it's a tough fight for FlyQuest to win.
Horn, knock up only on the one. Rakan finds a charm hook back in, deleted for one for nothing so far. He's still going to try to find this fight right now. Actually going to put the ulti on, going to get blocked, not a problem. They trade it back on the turret, back to bonus on. Not going to be any meaningful damage for that. Zig's bomb lands, and now Tukui is going to have a hard time taking this fight, so watch the fountain. No home guard buff, just slowly regenning back up. He's going to find that fight in a 4v5, but they got to try soon without ultis, because here comes the next push. Kumo down nearly to execute range. He's going to walk back this one soon. Decent poke, but not enough to kill. Thershin almost drops, but stays alive yet again. And now, once again, looking at Blabber in the front line. Poked a little bit more. This Corki going to put out some good damage, and it will be Cloud9 backing off as they've got no wave right now. Recollecting decent damage. The flash play not going to find the knock back as Blabber, already flashless, can't get any more with that kick. Just clear out the jungle and set up for the next play.
Does get the flash out of Corki right there, and I think that was a pretty reasonably played sequence by both sides. FlyQuest really didn't want a full commit against an Elder. Cloud9 wanted to force them to do so. And the trade does end with significant progress being made by Cloud9, inhibitor down, Nexus turret down, but still a little bit of life left for FlyQuest.
And if they can ever find something good, of course, bounties look to be off the screen. I can't quite tell. No, they are still on. Top outer, bottom tier 2, mid tier 2. Obviously, the neutrals are on that one as well. So if they can get a little bit of alone time, just let Tukui get that wave in and auto that turret 4 times. You know, that's going to be maybe 800 or so gold in the pockets. It'll help a little bit there. As just, yeah, pretty easy. A wave clear for Akshan, shoving in the top side. Finally going for Armor Pen. Sorota's Grudge on the way. Noah's getting through Ornn is going to be part of this gameplay in here.
This is the last Baron buff wave. See what they can get done.
Nice little Storm Razor slow for the first auto. Goes under the turret. There we go. Bounty claim to the top side. Gold in the pockets. FlyQuest is that little bit closer here. Thought and look for the 2-0 on the day. See him again on Sunday after that one. Ulti going to come across for the root onto 2.
Package.
That's going to be knockup. Where's the package? There we go on the back line. And that's going to be the first kill. 1-for-1. No! They just cannot kill the top laner. And the re-engage going to look good. Zig's in for one, in for a second. Finally 2 traded back. Is it going to be enough? Blabber on the front lines can still revive. Push back. Johnson kiting for his life. Pops a stopwatch. It's got to be Kumo in the front. Isles flashes in, make a little bit more happen. A quadra kill in for Sven. Can it be the penta? The satchel into the air. The burn. Boom. The penta kill for Sven. Why is he in Academy? The Bud Light ace.
Well, as far as I know, he's not.
I know.
Yeah, he just chills, man. He plays League of Legends when he's needed, and he gets pentakills. Let's go, C9.
1-1-9 becomes 6-1-9. Sven was huge. Early game priority became every single objective, and Cloud9 have a 2-0 day.
Fun game we just saw right there. We get the Ziggs Penta, solo AP Ziggs bottom lane, 1 kill for 37 minutes, and then 5 right in a row. One more game under the belt for Fudge mid lane as well, despite him being on a top lane champion. Possibly a bit of a preview of the type of diversity we may be able to see from him later.
Sure.
And with day 1, it's looking like Cloud9 and 100 Thieves are the 2 front runners in the group.
They're doing well. Of course, they'll meet each other later on. You play each other team once, so with the match to go, obviously they are going to meet. And we'll see what it looks like. Do you want to point out, as I was informed, Sven is the pentakill leader of the LCS. Guess which number this was, unless you were already...
So this was 1 of 2022.
Yeah.
You want me to guess the rest? I'm going to say this was his 4th pentakill.
6th.
Wow.
6 pentakills, I believe, just in the LCS, as opposed to career long. I'm not sure. He is the leader of the LCS, and it was his 6th. We can get maybe more clarification on the NLSS in a little bit. But still, he's done a lot of cleaning up team fights, and well done to him. You mentioned it in the very early on, right? He is great on mages. It paid off.
Yeah, he's really good. And I'm going to, like, we have a very long season in front of us.
Yeah.
Right? I've watched the content C9 has put out. Like, obviously, Berserker is pitched as the starter, but they're saying, like, everyone bought into like best player plays. And if Sven is fully bought into that as well, he's still grinding the game in solo queue. He's always going to be a grinder. And he's having good games here. So it doesn't seem like he's the type of player who holds grudges, right? So he's just, when he gets his opportunity, he balls out.
I mean, he extended his contract with Cloud9, right? He's through to 2024.
Yeah.
And I assume, like, knew what was going on while it's happening. I assume he wasn't surprised. Like, he's not even technically the Academy starter because you can only play 3 imports across both leagues. And if they're planning on Summit, planning on Berserker, planning on Malice for the Academy jungler, there isn't a spot left for Sven. So I think that's why I think it's King is like the starting player down there. But like from their admission, Sven's playing all the scrims. Like technically the stage games, Sven's not there, but Sven is for 99% of game time and practice, the Academy player. But yeah, Sven and Isle's going to show up and it's like, yeah, better team plays. And I mean, we know from historical Cloud9, we had weeks of Sneaky and Jensen riding the Academy bench and the rest of the squad showing up. And I mean, that's part of how Blabber got his start, right? He's just playing a bunch of games over Svenskeren. And now I think everyone agrees Blabber is just the best jungler maybe in the LCS.
Absolutely.
So this is the kind of stuff that can work. Look, I'm ready for any redemption arc. I'm always a fan of just like seeing what players can do, improving themselves. So huge credit to everyone happening there, and huge credit, of course, to Sven for the pentakill. Now, thank you for joining myself and Jat. I've been told that her name is Frat, if you will.
Under review.
We're going Greek. Now, of course, for the rest of the day of Lock-In Now, we are going to join Darshan and Latagris for our Verizon postgame interview. See you there.
I don't know if I agree with the name Frat, but I do like the name Darshan. Darshan, top laner here for C9, joining us for the Verizon post-game interview. First thing I want to ask you, though, Fudge set up the expectation earlier that y'all were going to doo-doo on FlyQuest. Do you feel that this win was dominating enough to qualify as such?
Not really. I'd say it was a decent win, but I wouldn't say we doo-dooed on them. I didn't hear Fudge saying that. Fudge has some confident words, I guess.
Yeah, I think you can guess what the actual word was in place of doo-doo. But it was a really fun game to watch. You brought Akshan to us here. So what place do you feel that this pick has in the meta and performing on that pick in this game?
I think Akshan's just a strong champion in the meta, but I think it heavily depends on your skill on the champion, and I think it just depends on the game on when to pick it. That game, I didn't really get to show exactly what Akshan could do because I was getting focused a lot and I died a lot on their timings, but honestly, I'm really happy that I still got to play the champ and pull it out.
Yeah, and I was so happy to see you play here today. Anybody that has been watching your performances in Academy across multiple teams has commended the pool that you have grown, the leadership skills that continue to develop, a lot of these plays that have been very enjoyable from an audience perspective. How do you feel about your current performance and just your aspirations for your career at this point in time?
Yeah, I think when I think about why I keep playing and why I'm still back at this like almost a decade in, it's just because honestly I love playing the game so much. I think that there's still so much that you can do with the game, like not only as like in the actual game but as an athlete. I think there's so much to discover about this game, and there's so much that you learn about yourself when you're like challenging yourself to be the best that you can at something. And so I think it's just a very rewarding environment, and I think the game itself is just very beautiful. So like I love like being able to learn more about champion mechanics, being able to push what it means to be the best in a team environment. I think everything about being in a sport, in a game, is just a very enjoyable experience.
And you've had so much opportunity to learn and enjoy these moments. In fact, I believe you are within the top 10 of most LCS games played of all time. How do you feel that veteranship just contributes to your overall statement you have made in this scene and yourself as a player?
I think it's just awesome to have been a part of something for so long. I don't know if it says anything special, but I'm just happy that I get to keep doing what I love doing every day. You know, keep it simple.
Bringing it to a little bit more of a happy moment as well. We got our first penta of this lock-in. It's not Sven's first penta of lock-ins in general, though, having completed multiple last time around. What was the team atmosphere like with the game ending in such a fashion?
Fudge was just yelling at Sven not to flash for the penta and go in the game, but Sven's like, nope, I got to get this kill. And I would do the same thing 10 out of 10 times, so.
That's what we love to hear. That's what we love to hear. Darshan, thank you so much for your play today, and it was so great speaking with you after this game.
Thank you.
That concludes our actual gameplay, though, for our first day here of LCS Lock-In. We are kicking to a break, and on the other side, the desk will continue to break down all that you saw here today. Stay tuned, friends.
Welcome back to the LCS, where day one of the lock-in tournament concludes with another Cloud9 victory. This one over FlyQuest to move to 2-0. So we got two teams there standing at 2-0 in Cloud9 and 100 Thieves. But what strikes me about this game is how starkly different the Cloud9 draft in particular is when you look at the team comp holistically.
Yeah, you saw 3 scaling picks kind of in their first game. This time, double physical solo laners, even with a physical jungler. That is like, we're going early game.
Yep.
And, you know, they did have a little bit of scaling options still with the Ziggs, and they balanced out the damage profile, but it's just a totally different look from game 1.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I was going to say, I really love the Ziggs pick here because of that. It's kind of obvious that once they locked it in, I didn't think they'd go so AD heavy. But obviously, you know, as we saw from the end of the game.
Worked out for him.
He just ended up building all the magic pen because they could not deal with him.
Yeah, I think it was just really a strong, broken idea. The moment you see Aphelios Corki just locked in, it's like perfect. We pick range. Like Jace and Ziggs, I thought were like really good answers and basically compositional identities. The moment you got that, you're great. Like at that point, Darshan, he knows I guess he was going blind for this one, but like he kind of is really confident with the compass to offer.
Talking about his pick or his play? Sorry.
Both.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was a little rough up there, but I guess you could chalk it up to pulling a lot of pressure to the top lane.
He was up at the turret for a while. I bet his 4% was high.
I mean, he was actually still managing to take some plates, pulling all of that pressure up to the top lane. Yes, dying as a result, but that did open the space for a very early first turret to go over to the Ziggs, unlocks the Ziggs to move mid, and then the top lane as well. And so, while yes, I'm certain that he's not sitting there super stoked about his individual performance on the auction, you still saw to some degree, you know, the benefit of splitting the map or spreading the map out like that and allowing Ziggs the space and the opportunity to get up and pressure that turret.
Mm-hmm. I think that's what's probably was the most impressive thing about Cloud9 here is that as a 4-man towards the bot side of the map, like consistently rolling around with the Ziggs, so, you know, get turret plates there. There's a one good moment within the game that they were talking about where it was just like, wow, they must, Jap mentioned it. He's like, oh, they're really up in tempo. Not only did they take Dragon, Darshan had a good enough time to like full clear top lane wave. So like FlyQuest didn't have a play on the map at the point. So Cloud9, I think, are just really good fundamentally.
Rolling it back to the beginning, though, First Blood goes the way of FlyQuest. More than anything, though, it's that attention towards the bot lane. It is, to me, that on day one, so much of what we expected in terms of bot lane play and what the players have been talking about in 2v2s and how they might be affected by the junglers, and not necessarily top laners, but TP, it's FlyQuest that comes out with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like that response from FlyQuest because they knew Blabber had invaded, I think, because he ended up showing on the mid wave with red, and then they came down to Jose Diodo took the red, basically split map, and then went in to help out his bot lane, who were going to be behind because they had invaded in, and they got that push off. So, I mean, I thought, like, initially for FlyQuest, I was like, okay, you had a really tough loss to the TSM Academy lineup. I actually did like seeing that response from them, at least. Obviously, the rest of the game was pretty rough. There was like a lot of miscommunication, in my opinion, around the way that they wanted to play team fights. So it's not even like, you know, you have players that are making individual mistakes, but a lot of it is because they're not syncing up how they want to approach a lot of these fights.
I was about to say it's a blessing for FlyQuest that they were able to, like, have lock-in as a resource, right? To look through a lot of these team fights and then, you know, look back at it. Because this is one of the many miscommunications that we were talking about, where Johnson's not going to be a part of this play. You know, just because you have package, you think you have the heads up. That wasn't the case. There was another fight later on in the game where it's just another example of, like, Ornn and what's it called?
And Rakan.
Ornn and Rakan goes in, TP in from Corki, but they don't have carries following up. So your tank is already dead before the fight even starts.
Yeah, Jack called that one out. But I will say, at least to some degree, it felt like the game plan was there, right? In that moment, in that fight in the bottom river, where it was like, okay, we know what a good fight from us is supposed to look like, and they thought they found the moment, pulled the trigger. The 2 tanks, the 2 engagers in the Ornn and the Rakan did a lot of work to group people up, multi-man ultimates, but then just no damage to follow, and then C9 had kind of free reign over the bottom side of the map.
That plus all the objective control. They were fighting from the bottom the whole time, trying to get back in the game, and just never could quite find their footing.
All right, well, there you have it. Cloud9 ends the day at 2-0. Some things are inevitable, though, here when it comes to League of Legends, death, taxes, and, of course, Lee Sin. Our Roccat big play of the day is not Lee Sin, though, because we changed this right at the end of the day. I was thinking it was the Hyper Lee Sin kick, but it's actually the pentakill on Ziggs.
I mean, good showing for Sven. This was a pretty clean game, though. He wasn't the focal point for these comps. You know, when you're talking about double 80 topside, he played cleanup really well this game. He's untouched this entire fight, just pumping out damage. And now, let the speculation begin. Berserker, Sven, who should start running the 10-man?
You know, a promising young academy player. I think Sven's got this.
Yeah, he earned some reps.
I like that moment, though, especially with the context of the interview from Darshan, where
they're like, just end the game.
Just saying, like, end the game. And you know the coaches, Max, LS, are like,
Just
end the game. And Sven's like, I'm going for this penta. But also to have that support from Darshan that I would have done it 10 out of 10 times.
And he had our first pentakill last year, too.
He did. Right. So, just fun fact, right? This is the first ever pentakill on the very first day of play in a new year of the LCS. But as Emily just mentioned, Sven also had the first pentakill of the LCS last year as well. So this guy, I mean, almost becoming synonymous with pentakills.
And you know what? I love the question you brought up immediately, which is just like, how much pressure would it be? Like, not only, you have to follow up this act, right? Like, just in general.
Speaking of following up this act, we will be featuring a Roccat Big Play every single day. So make sure you're sharing your favorite in-game moments with us on Twitter by tweeting with the hashtag Roccat Big Play to get your name on the broadcast, as well as the play that you deem to be most worthy. And so I'm very curious to see what people come up with. I don't know how you top a pentakill, you know, on day one of the day, so or of the new year. So we'll
base race for day 2. I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah,
you can't follow it. That's true. Just like
shoot for the stars, baby, land on the moon. When it comes to encapsulating what was day 1 of play, I feel like no one did it better, though, than Immortal's Twitter game. Let's take a look at this as they put it out. 100 Thieves playing in Group A versus Academy teams, just absolutely smacking kids down.
That's beautiful.
I mean, we didn't know until, like, kind of late-ish in terms of whether 100 Thieves were going to run Kenby and Tenacity or their full LCS lineup. They just come in with their full LCS lineup, and they absolutely look great. Like, I mean, we've already touched upon this, but the meta suits them really well. There's only a couple of shifts to just be able to play exactly how they want.
I mean, that stuff's fun. Just being up and beating the little kids down, you know? If you ever play with your little brother on, like, a console, you know, or, like, your cousin, you just slap them around in Melee or something. It feels good. I don't blame 100 Thieves for keeping the whole lineup in there. Going
I was on the other side of
Group
that.
A Academy. Oh, you want to be nice to him?
No, I was the one getting beat up by my older brother.
I was gonna say, I was the older sibling. My
family was, like, big on wrestling, which means I was the one getting suplexed by my brother. That just
Lordy.
That just happens.
Okay, so younger, older, middle child,
youngest.
There it is. Okay, there it is.
That's why I want to beat up on my
diversity.
You know?
Yeah.
See where it's coming from.
Yeah, we've got all the complexes.
Pass it on. You know,
we've got the middle child complex, we got the younger child complex, and then we got the older child complex. We got it all on this desk. Let's check in on Patch. Coming through day 1, 5 games of play. We've also seen what's been happening globally, and that's maybe part of what I want to pull into this conversation is what's being seen here as compared to elsewhere. Right away, though, we started that conversation around 2v2s in the bot lane. We had the conversation around Akshan and Vex. Beat you by a game on that one there, Mark Z, with the Vex coming in just 1 game sooner. But I'm at least happy that we saw both of them on day 1.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see the variety right now. I have not looked up into any pick statistics, but I bet we saw a handful of good unique champions now.
Yeah.
And it feels like the meta's not solved, but at least there's a general idea of the importance of bot lane, for example, the importance of scaling in a lot of situations. It feels like at least that stuff is beginning to get pinned down.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of the Lux, we didn't see a ton of,
Enchanters?
yeah, like I was thinking LCK has had a super high, like, Yuumi priority.
Yeah.
We did see a few Karma bans levied today, so we didn't, we didn't see that. But it seems like, as of right now, LCS teams have been looking slightly more towards LPL, and then kind of a different permutation of what we saw in LEC this morning as well.
Yeah, I think mid lane's been a lot more ironed out. So the Corki and Victor is something that's just always going to be as a constant. The Vex as well is a good playmaker who can get past that. Top lane's interesting. I think it will kind of iron out to be more tank healthy, kind of tank happy. Because we saw like the Ornn last pick. We saw the sign earlier today to round out comps. People are a little bit more
Gragas,
around
yeah.
that Gragas. So I think
Renekton
we'll see a little
kind
bit
of
more
as
of that. Exactly.
as a halfway point to that. And then the Akshan, of course.
There it is.
All right, well, there's just some thoughts. We got plenty of more games to, to see over the coming days. We got 5 teams that haven't even stepped onto the Rift yet to show us what they think the meta should look like. But a quick refresher on how the day played out. It's Untitled and Cloud9 up at the top of the table, 2-0 apiece. TSM sitting at 1-1. I think they'll be happy with that record coming out of day 1 based on the teams that they had to go up against. And then, of course, FlyQuest Golden Guardians rounding it out at 0-2. Tomorrow, though, we'll get our first look at Group B. As you can see there, all of them sitting at 0-0. It's CLG, is Dignitas. First game, though, is Dignitas versus Team Liquid. I love getting our first look at that Team Liquid squad. At least Bjergsen stepping out onto the Rift, right? What kind of form is he going to look in?
I mean, that's the big question, and you'll get that answered early in the day, but that's a warm-up game, I think, for Game 3 as the one that is the highlight that most people are going to be looking to, because these are 2 rosters that basically have their entire starting lineup, and they're expected to be the best, some of the best teams in the league.
I'm actually really curious about the CLG Immortals lineup. Maybe that's kind of a wonky game to pick, but I really want to see the IMT lineup in action, and I also really like CLG's focus on a lot of North American players that haven't really been given a full split to show what they can do in a while, like Contracts, Jenkins, and the top lane. So that matchup actually excites me as well.
Something interesting, of course, is, Dignitas starting his first game. They couldn't get River post that they put out there. So XU, a player that actually was just brought up from amateur, from Cloud9 amateur into the academy team. Didn't really have an academy game yet, right? There's nothing to play, but now thrown smack dab into the middle of the LCS lock-in.
There's only so many players, at least in this era of competitive League of Legends, who just say that they played LCS before they played their academy games. And so, yeah, that's going to be a fun challenge for him to step onto stage tomorrow and test his mettle against some of the best. But that is going to do it for us here at the end of day 1 of the lock-in stage. So on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, I want to thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCS. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other. Good night.
Day 1 in the books.
Welcome back.
In the books.
Let's go.